Have you ever wondered why the summers seem hotter every year, or why the winters seem shorter and less cold? As we journey through the days, months, and years, we encounter shifts in our environment, sometimes subtle, sometimes dramatic. These shifts are not just your imagination playing tricks on you. They are real, tangible, and visible if you look closely. They are the footprints of a phenomenon known as global warming. Global warming is no longer a distant threat whispered by scientists and environmentalists. It's a present reality, shaping the world we live in and the future that awaits us. It's a term that you've likely heard before, but what does it really mean? At its core, global warming refers to the long-term increase in Earth's average temperature. This increase is primarily caused by human activities, such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation, which release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These gases trap heat from the sun, causing our planet to warm up. Perhaps you've noticed that heat waves are becoming more frequent, or that cold snaps are less severe. Maybe you've observed that spring arrives a little earlier each year, or that fall lingers longer. These are all signs of a changing climate. And these changes are not just inconvenient, they're dangerous. They disrupt ecosystems, threaten wildlife, and pose significant risks to human health and well-being. Understanding global warming is not just about recognizing the changes in our weather, it's about acknowledging the profound impact that these changes have on our planet and our lives. It's about realizing that the world as we know it is at stake. But why should you care? Because this is our world. It's the only one we have. And right now, it's in trouble. We're already seeing the effects of global warming, from rising sea levels to more extreme weather events. If we don't take action, these problems will only get worse. It's time to uncover the truth behind these changes. It's time to discuss global warming. What if I told you we are the ones influencing these climatic changes? Yes, you heard it right. We, as in the human race, are the primary actors in this unfolding drama of global warming. Let's start with industrialization. It has undoubtedly accelerated our progress and brought about unprecedented prosperity. But it has also come with a hefty price tag. Our factories, power plants, and vehicles spew out massive amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. These gases trap heat in the atmosphere, leading to a steady increase in Earth's temperature. Now let's move on to deforestation. Trees are nature's way of balancing the carbon cycle. They absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, keeping our atmosphere beautifully balanced. However, our relentless pursuit of development has led to large-scale deforestation. When we clear forests for agriculture, urbanization, or logging, we're not only reducing the number of trees that absorb carbon dioxide, but we're also releasing the carbon stored in those trees back into the atmosphere. It's a double whammy for our planet. And then there's the burning of fossil fuels. Coal, oil, and natural gas have powered our world for over a century. But when we burn these fuels, we release even more carbon dioxide. To put it in perspective, each year we pump an astounding 36 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That's like adding the weight of nearly 5 million Eiffel Towers of carbon dioxide every year. So you see, our actions are not without consequences. We've been steadily and relentlessly pushing up the Earth's thermostat. The result? Rising temperatures, melting ice caps, sea level rise, and more frequent and severe weather events. Our daily activities, from driving to work to flipping a light switch, contribute in some way to global warming. But it's not just about pointing fingers. It's about acknowledging our role, understanding the impact, and taking responsibility. Yes, our actions have been heating up our planet, and the consequences are far-reaching. So, what happens when our planet heats up? Well, picture this. The ice caps at the poles start to melt, like ice cubes on a hot summer day. This isn't just a problem for the polar bears losing their homes. It's a lot bigger than that. As the ice melts, it flows into the oceans, causing the sea levels to rise. You might think, well, I don't live near the ocean, so it doesn't affect me. But hold that thought. Rising sea levels can lead to coastal flooding, which can wipe out entire communities, destroy homes, and displace millions of people. And it's not just the coasts. Even inland areas can experience flooding due to increased rainfall, another side effect of rising temperatures. But it gets worse. With the planet heating up, we're seeing more extreme weather events. Think hurricanes, heat waves, and droughts. These aren't just inconveniences, they can be deadly. Heat waves can cause heat stroke and dehydration. Droughts can lead to crop failures, food shortages, and even famine. And let's not forget about the impact on biodiversity. With the changing climate, many species are losing their habitats. Some are even facing extinction. Forests are drying up and burning, coral reefs are bleaching, and many species are struggling to survive in these changing conditions. And what about us, humans? Well, we're not immune to the effects of global warming either. Besides the obvious threats like flooding and extreme weather, there are more subtle effects too. Changes in climate can lead to changes in the spread of diseases. For example, warmer conditions can increase the range of disease-carrying insects, leading to more cases of diseases like malaria and dengue fever. And remember, the effects of global warming aren't limited to some distant future. They're happening now, they're real, and they're serious. The effects of global warming aren't just felt by polar bears and glaciers, they're knocking on our doors too. What does the future hold if we continue on this path? This is the pressing question we must grapple with as we contemplate the potential consequences of our warming world. If current trends continue, the future looks warm and not in a cozy snuggle up by the fireplace kind of way. We're talking about a warmth that makes it harder to breathe, harder to grow food, and harder to live comfortably on our beautiful planet. Imagine a world where heat waves become the norm rather than the exception. As the mercury rises, so do the risks. Heat-related illnesses could become more common and even fatal, particularly for the elderly, the young, and the vulnerable. The scorching temperatures could also make outdoor work and activities unbearable, affecting livelihoods and lifestyles around the globe. Our oceans, too, will not be spared. As sea levels rise, coastal communities could find their homes under threat, and it's not just about losing land. The rising sea levels could also contaminate freshwater sources, impacting our ability to irrigate crops and have clean drinking water. And let's not forget about our wildlife. Many species, both on land and in the sea, could struggle to adapt to these changing conditions. We could see a significant loss of biodiversity, disrupting ecosystems and the balance of nature. But perhaps the most alarming part is the potential for cascading effects. You see, our Earth's systems are interconnected. When one domino falls, it could set off a chain reaction. Melting ice caps could trigger more warming, which in turn could lead to more ice melting. It's a vicious cycle, and once it gets going, it could be difficult, if not impossible, to stop. This is the future we could be facing if we don't act now. It's a future of discomfort, of uncertainty, of danger. It's a future that we have the power to change. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the capability. What we need now is the will to act. If we don't act now, the future could be a lot less comfortable and a lot more dangerous. Let's not let that be our legacy. You might be asking, what can I do about it? Well, the answer is quite a lot. The fight against global warming doesn't solely rest on the shoulders of governments or large organizations. It also lies with us, individuals who make up the fabric of society. Let's start with reducing our carbon footprints. Now, this might sound like a task for the scientists, but it's actually something we can all do. Think about how you get from point A to B. If we opt for walking, biking, or public transportation instead of driving, we're cutting down on carbon emissions. Same goes for our eating habits. Consuming less meat, particularly beef, can significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And let's not forget about waste. By composting and recycling, we prevent methane, a potent greenhouse gas, from being released into the atmosphere. Next, we can make a difference by supporting renewable energy. This doesn't necessarily mean installing solar panels on our roofs, although that would be great. It could be as simple as choosing a green energy provider for our homes, or advocating for renewable energy projects in our communities. Lastly, we need to use our voices. Seek out information about climate change, educate others, and demand action from our leaders. We can vote for politicians who prioritize the environment, support organizations that are fighting climate change, and participate in peaceful protests. In essence, combating global warming is about making conscious choices. It's about choosing the bike over the car when we can, the vegetable over the steak, the reusable bag over the plastic one. It's about choosing to speak up, to vote, to educate, and to care. Remember, these actions, no matter how small they seem, add up. They add up to a cleaner, healthier, and cooler planet. So let's not underestimate the power of one, the power of you, the power of us. The power to cool down our planet lies in our hands. It's time to act. Not tomorrow, not next year, but now.